Hello, everybody. We're having Simon Bailey today. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Andre. How are you today?
Great. I'm happy to see you live in person. So I've seen some of your beautiful, inspirational videos. And I asked you what we want to start talking about, and you said that it's the idea of being proud to do the worms, to be the worms, which is working on my speech as I understand it. So maybe the first question, why WOMS? How did you come to the idea of WOMS? Just let's start with this. What are WOMS?
WOMS. Thank you, because that's the cornerstone of what I do now, and when I work with my clients, that's what it's all about. I quickly learned many years ago, you cannot overcome stuttering. You cannot overcome stuttering.
Mm-hmm.
Stuttering isn't an illness, it's not a disease, it's not a disability, it is a behavior.
Uh-huh.
Because you cannot cure a behavior.
Uh-huh.
Possibly you can change it if you're the right sort of person, having the right advice. Now, a behavior is a combination of mindset and physical action.
Uh-huh.
And the complex relationship between mindset, what Peter Lowe calls mind-body, but mind-body is just a behavior, let's be honest about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't overcome a behavior, maybe you can change it. And rather than people focus on stuttering all the time, it's all about stuttering,
Right.
stuttering. If you focus on stuttering, that's all you're going to get eventually.
Right.
How do you work on it? Let's reframe it. I'm trained as a psychotherapist, and I was trained in solution focus free therapy, SFBT. And that is all about focusing on the solution, not the problem. But the trouble with actually focusing on fluency is for many people, it's just too difficult. It's a journey. It's a journey. And WOMS, working on my speech, is all about the journey and about enjoying the journey in a positive way to become a better speaker like I am now. Because you may think you heard a technique called bouncing or bobulation.
Right.
That has been used in speech therapy for 60 years. There's nothing new about that.
Right.
But for me, that is how I have redefined fluency. A lot of people, John Harrison's a great guy, I'm sure you know. He wrote a great book called Redefining Stuttering. I redefine fluency.
Uh-huh. Got it. So if we talk about the technical side of it, I think it's close to what IO does. So, and that's, I think, again, you correct me, that's the McGuire program approach. Instead of stuttering, we do something to take control over our speaking, some different techniques. Or it's from the technical side now.
Stuttering, Andre, is not out of control speaking. With most people, it's over control stuttering. If you try and layer a layer of control on top of out of control, you're normally going to get a mess, but you may get some temporary benefit and temporary gains. So yes, I spent 20 years on the McGuire program. There's some great things on that program, but there's some things on their own admission that they could do better. So now I'm out of that program, which is good. For me, it's empowering. And that means I can start from a blank canvas. So when McGuire talks about overcoming stuttering, I talk about WOMS, working on my speech, enjoying the journey, not learning long lists. And I do not use costal breathing, chest breathing, for God's sake. I discovered something 6 years ago, totally by accident, called transformational breath. Now, transformational breath has been a life changer for me. That is full diaphragmatic breathing. It is breath for life. And speech is part of life, not the other way around.
And just to, again, for some people, it might be a bit of a a learning thing. Can you kind of maybe show, or like, what's the difference between the chest breathing and diaphragm breathing?
Transformational breath. It's called abdominal breathing. There's different. Abdominal breathing is the de facto breathing method for everyone doing breath work in the world today. No one uses chest breathing. You know, you've got your yoga breathing, you've got the rebirther. The International Breathwork Federation recognized transformational breath. They don't recognize costal breath. They don't recognize costal breath. So the diaphragm is attached to the 8th and 9th rib. So when you move your rib cage out, your diaphragm moves outwards, it expands outwards, it does not expand down. You do not fully innervate all the lobes of your lungs. You only innervate the top and middle lobes of the lungs. Only with full diaphragmatic breathing do you innervate. You know what innervate means? It means the lungs, it means into a part of your body. So you only fully innervate the lower lobes of your lungs when the diaphragm is moving downwards, when you use full abdominal breathing. So you get the feeling of your belly moving downwards, but in fact it's your diaphragm pushing, displacing those organs in your body downwards, fully innervating your lungs, giving you air on which to speak. And now you do the next thing, which is to control your airflow. Now that's the physical level. Transformational breath in its purest form, again, check the websites, don't believe me. Transformational breath is practiced in 45 countries in the world. There are 15,000 trained facilitators, including me, in the world, practicing it for all sorts of conditions. What I found with trial and error, that's true, is that there are benefits for speech as well. But in the work that I do, about 15% of the work that I do involves breathing, but it is the core, it is the foundation. It allows you to ground in your body, and it is breath for life. Fully oxygenating your blood supply to protect yourself against illnesses, infections. It's breath for life.
Yeah, breathing is huge. Absolutely. I recently, again, watched some and tried actually Wim Hof's breathing. It's a bit different, but there are many kinds. But I agree, it's absolutely. But do you do breathing like a separate exercise, so apart from speaking, or it's something that when you do it apart from speaking, you kind of get used to the right patterns, and that helps with speaking? It somehow shows up in the speaking when you speak, or it's something we try to ingrain, like put inside the speaking process as well somehow.
Yeah, you talk about carryover. So when you do a breath session, when you are breathed by somebody, which is how you start with transformational breath, you go and see a facilitator or attend a workshop, and you learn how to do it properly, as I have done. And I spent many, many hours and attending many, many training courses to do that. So yeah, 100 breaths to joy in the morning is part of my daily warm-up routine, plus toning, body mapping, self-body mapping, tapping into chakra points, meridian points in the body, third eye stuff. Yeah, that's all part of it. But in terms of my speaking structure, yes, there is an element to conscious breath. The transcendental breathing is part of the general modalities that come under the level of conscious breath. This is
Got it.
That's it. But the more you do it, the more you establish your default breathing pattern and your default living pattern. Now, it does take time to do. People go on intensive courses. I've been on intensive courses and done costal breathing. Yes, it's a quick fix. It does get you somewhere faster. And when you have to learn, like I've decided to learn properly with full abdominal breathing, full diaphragmatic breathing, it does take a bit longer to do. It does take more practice, but the benefits are better and the benefits are more longer lasting because you do establish default.
Yeah. But just again, as a practical matter, can you show a couple breaths just to understand what it looks like? How, like?
Yeah, well, there's many. I'll do it now if you can see me. I don't know whether the camera's going to work.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're seeing, so I can't do it. So yeah, so the perfect breathing position is on the floor at a 45-degree angle, so your airway's open. Okay, breath through the mouth. Breath through the mouth. So you've already got your hand ready. So it's 3 elements, the transformational breath. Obviously, you breathe through the mouth. That's not one of them. Conscious full inhale, relaxed exhale, and connected breathing, or what people call circular breathing. That means no gaps between inhale and exhale. Your body was designed to breathe. Your body wasn't designed to hold your breath, to hold the pause. To fully oxygenate your blood supply, you need to breathe. And a lot of programs, a lot of courses teach what they call timed pauses. Well, that's playing to lose, because what they'll do is they'll pause after the inhale, that the body says, well, I'm depriving my body of oxygen, so I'll make sure that the next breath is a big one. Now, that does work for a while, but the effect wears off. So I can't do this when speaking, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Do the breathing. So what I will do now is I will keep the count, I will do 10 connected breaths. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for initial rise, a displacement of my lower abdomen, and then I'm looking for a slight rise in the chest as well, coming second. So that one's first, and that one's second. You may hear me, it doesn't matter, but you're looking for a relaxed exhale and a connected breath with no gaps. So there'll be some silence now. And then, when a breathing has been established, I will connect that and I will use that to something called toning. And toning is very important because toning gives us connection to our voice and trains our vocal cords, because we're going with a lower voice tone through the tone. So I'll do 9 tones. I'm not going to do it on the video today, but part of my daily warm-up is after my breathing pattern is established, I'll do 9 tones, 3 plus 3 plus 3, with 3 blanks in the middle, 3 breaths in the middle, to get my voice going, to just free myself up, to remove and get a lower voice tone by focusing on sound, not by a conscious psychological mindset.
Right.
And then affirmations as well. So I have a daily warm-up involving 8 different things, and I've got a video about it, which will be made public very soon.
Got it. Wow. Yeah. So again, breathing to some people might sound like something which is not directly kind of linked to our speaking or stuttering. Many people think like, okay, I've done some breathing, so what? Nothing happened with my stuttering. But the more like we go in the stuttering journey, the more we understand the importance of it. And again, it's not only the speaking, it's as you mentioned, it's generally oxygenating our body. So our brain works better, we have more energy, like Wim Hof's method is all like big part of it about breathing. So
well, 15% of it, the first 15% is breathing, Fluency shape. I mean, toning is so important. And the fluency shaping tools that I use have been used for 60 years anyways.
And pretty much everything where, like, you turn to everything and breathing is everywhere. I tried, actually, I like to swim, but I swim very badly, and I've never learned to swim. And I always, you know, do a several, swim a little bit, and I'm out of breath. Absolutely. And I watched some videos on YouTube, and they say that we need to, maybe it's close to what you say. Again, speaking and swimming is different, but anyways, we don't breathe out all the air. So we have a lot of air which stays. So the next breathing in is not full. It's just like part of it, of what should be inhaled. And the next one is even smaller, 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 unless you just don't have, like, they're so tiny that they don't support our swimming. So we get out of breath. So that's, again, it's not quite the speaking, it's swimming, but it struck me that how important it is to breathe, and as maybe you say, breathe. Yeah, again, maybe it's not quite relevant here, but just about the importance of breathing, because again, many people would think that is just something that is not directly linked to our speaking, that not directly can be of some benefit.
I can tell you one thing there. Sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. I can tell you one thing. People who stutter that have a bad breathing pattern, unless they deal with that breathing pattern by some means. I mean, I'm a qualified hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, so I use a lot of hypnotherapy in what I do. So however you deal with a poor breathing pattern, you're going to need to do it for your life, let alone your speech. I mean, there are issues with hyperventilation, panic attacks, the chemical imbalance of oxygen, CO2 in your body. These are all something that a breath worker will deal with in person. So breathing is something that you need to go to someone that's trained, if you want to do it properly, that's trained, that knows how to do it. And it's such a great experience being breathed by somebody. And tapping is something that I do as well, that is part of breath as well. And that's a part of transformational breathing. You know, acupressure points on the body. The fear belt in your body is your diaphragm. The fear belt is your diaphragm. When I work with people with breath, and I'm doing hands-on, you can't see it now, but that's my rib cage. That's my diaphragm there. I can feel it. I can feel tension with people, and the breath will unlock that tension so long as they do it right.
Right. Oh yeah, and one of the things breathing does is to actually relax, because the heart starts, you know, pumping. We get into the state, and the breathing is a good way to calm down our heart, our everything actually. Yeah, right. Got it. And again, sorry for going maybe into detail about the technical stuff, but anyways, the breathing, and you also mentioned some of the elements from the Maguire program, you say, which are good. So some techniques you do use from there. Do I understand correctly?
It's Joe Xian techniques. Maguire program is a conglomeration of other techniques from other programs.
Right.
Joe Xian invented hit and hold.
Right. Got it. Yeah, sure.
I mean, the Banks and Van Riper, and these guys are great therapists.
Got it.
Block and let go. Speech therapists, pull out, spin out. These are all great things.
Got it.
So don't focus on the Maguire program. Does a great job for some people, gets people started. But a lot of the techniques Dave took from his own work with Xian, and why not?
Got it.
I mean, these guys, Joe Xian, Van Riper, the fluency shaping stuff that they did was terrific. And it's been working for 60 years.
Got it.
Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Got it. And coming back to our initial point, actually, you said that the topic or the message or the idea or the practical thing actually is being proud to be like WOMS, so to work on your speech. And there are two parts: working on your speech, which sounds like, again, more technical maybe for people who stutter, and be proud. And so, again, many people would concentrate, would focus on the technical part, but you put the first, be proud to work on your speech. So how do you see these two parts? And when you go for your working on your speech, I would call assignments, when you go outside and talk to people, when you ask questions, when you do different other crazy things, maybe people would think, is it mostly about being proud, or you also concentrate on working on the speech? I mean, using the, again, the breathing, the techniques, trying to feel how they're working there. So which part is more important, or both like equally are important here?
Well, you missed the most important thing out. There's three.
Okay.
The middle one is the most important: advertise.
Advertise.
When I used to teach courses many years ago, like 20 years ago, I've been teaching courses, I found a lot of psychological resistance to terminology. The audio feedback loop of the brain is absolutely essential. As a trained psychotherapist, I need to know how the brain works. I need to know how people are reacting to what I'm telling them to do. I need to know about objection and resistance. And terms like the old terminology, such as voluntary stuttering and purposeful stuttering, stuttering on purpose, deliberate disfluency, these terms were not working, and it was creating resistance in people's minds, so they weren't doing it. They weren't doing it. They didn't value and see the whole point of the block and let go, the individual micro tools of the mentality of what Joe Xiang called it, desensitization. I don't even like that word. That word wasn't even working. So then I come up with this whole new mentality, which is advertise. And advertise replaces all that duff old terminology like the voluntary stuttering. Deliberate disfluency was invented 50 years ago by a very, very good speech therapist, by the way. But I've thrown all that away. It's the advertising the mentality and making it real world situations. So the word proud comes first, but you're proud to advertise. Now, what advertise means is it means showing people and telling people. Now, a very, very important thing that Xiang came up with was disclosure. Now, we all know what disclosure is. So,
right.
But the way you do disclosure with a smile on your face and showing somebody that you're working on your speech and you don't care what they think. And that's what the proud bit means.
Right.
To do what you want to do without worrying about the perception of the other person. It doesn't matter. Yes, you show them dignity. Yes, you show them respect. And the advertise, the key thing is explaining what you're doing and then doing it.
Got it. Yeah. In my mind, being proud and advertising, they're somewhere somewhat close. Being proud and again advertising of who you are at that moment, which is
no, it's not who you are. It's not who you are, because nobody knows who you are. I'm not asking you, Andre, to tell me who you are. I don't want to portray to someone who I am, because this is changing a behavior. This is a behavioral change thing. As a hypnotherapist and psychotherapist, I use other techniques for changing people's behaviors when they come with me for phobia or fear or smoking. This is telling people what you want to do, what you're doing, not who you are.
Okay.
What you do will change who you are.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Uh,
People's belief systems. The whole point of what everyone is trying to do is to reprogram the subconscious mind. Any therapist, any coach, any facilitator, whatever technique they're using, Gestalt theory, I use hypnosis, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, breathing therapies. The whole point is to reprogram the subconscious mind, to change your belief systems. Most people's belief systems are experiential. They're changed by experience, and that is good. That keeps us alive. That supports our learning structures. You know, we learn safety things when we're children, to cross the road. So we're changed by what we do, not the portrayal who we are at that time. So
okay.
Permission frame, you know what, in psychology, permission framing, we have to set up a permission frame to change what we do, experientially change our belief systems, and then we can reprogram the subconscious mind. And I use hypnosis to do that, but only when I've done that experiential bit first.
I'm just trying to understand, you said advertising what you do. To me, it's all about dealing with our shame.
No.
No. No.
What are you saying?
What's the difference? Okay. So again, some people advertise, or like some people advertise stuttering, like they voluntarily stutter. They advertise that they are people who stutter. They disclose that. Like in my therapy, what I did, I was advertising, if you wish, disclosing the training speech that I used. Again, by this also disclosing that I'm a person who is working on my speech, that stutters, working on speech. And to me, it's addressing the shame issue, because we're so much ashamed, and ashamed of that shame as well. We're hiding that problem, if you wish, issue, the stuttering. We want to hide it, we want to avoid it, we want to like to sit in our small, space, and not get out of that space to our uncomfort, where we need to feel that shame, to be embarrassed of showing people that we either stutter or that we're working on our speech, which is very close, because it shows that we stutter as well. So what's the difference? You say it's not about dealing with shame. So
okay, let's go back to what my particular stuttering was. It was avoidance, it was lying, it was blocking, So what I would used to do is, here's a bit of you can retune if you want this, so the X certificate stuff. So what I would do is I would just do all this facial, the contortion, the struggling, the avoidance, even the not speaking, all the anxiety. As John Harrison taught me, great teacher, you know John Harrison, one of the best. The stuttering started before the stuttering started. I want to get rid of all that anxiety that comes before, anticipatory anxiety, they call it in psychology. So at best, what I was doing, using these techniques, was to deal with the block, take away all the struggle, the facial contortion. Now that was shame. That's shame. The avoidance was shame. But when I speak like this, no shame. I have no shame. I have pride. The shame was the blocking. The shame was the avoidance. The shame was the lying. The shame was living half a life.
Right.
That was the shame. So when I learned that I didn't need to avoid, that I could be honest, I could say any word I want to, I could speak to whoever I want to, and deal with their reactions for however I wanted to speak. That was called freedom.
Yeah. That's exactly actually what. That's what I mean as well. So when I'm saying we're dealing with shame, what I'm saying is that as a person who stutters, I would expect and I would want to work in the therapy room for hours and hours and hours, but I would not go outside. That's hard. That's the hard part. And you say you're not ashamed, but this is some of your, like, again, mindset or attitude. First, probably you tell me, how did you feel first when you were invited to go out? Probably you felt some unease about that. That's my, yeah. So what is that? What is that when when we feel horrified about going outside and doing that in front of people?
Well, I don't feel horrified. Horrified's your word, not mine. Nerves. Look, we all feel nerves. I'm doing a speech at Toastmasters this evening. I'm feeling a bit nervous about it. Yeah, nerves are okay. Nerves are okay. I mean, one of the most important things that Timothy Galway taught me, you know Timothy Galway, the Inner Game books? In a game of golf, in a game of tennis. He actually pinpointed what stuttering was. Some people think that stuttering is the fear of stuttering. What he correctly identified was, it is self-doubt on your ability to speak. And that was a real light bulb moment for me, because the word self in self-doubt is absolutely key. It's coming from within. And we're talking about psychological stuttering now, which is what you and I are talking about. So when I knew it was up to me to get over this challenge, to reprogram my subconscious mind, to change my behavior of my SSP, stuttering speaking pattern, because as soon as I stopped thinking, I am a stutterer, I was nominalizing my identity with my behavior. We are far more than our behaviors, far more. When I actually said, I used to say I'm a PWS, but if you say you're a PWS, all you're going to get is stuttering, because your mind will remember the last word you've given it. So you're watering it down a little bit. But as soon as I started saying, I'm a honest person, doing my best, and proud to advertise that I'm working on my speech to become a better speaker, that was when the light bulb, because I started looking forward instead of looking back.
Got it. But again, I'm trying. We all, I think, bear this this thing. We've gone some journey, and we're somewhere, and we're kind of feeling this way now. I want you to go back, maybe somewhere. What would you, again, advise people who are just starting to think about their stuttering? What can we do about it? What is kind of the first step you would recommend to recommend doing?
Okay, the first thing, again, I've written a document about this. It's called, Is It Time to Work on Your Speech? Preparation for intervention, because there is a risk to intervention. And I do accept there are people out there that will want to do nothing about their speech, that will be horrified.
Right, right.
I do accept there will be people out there when I say you should work on, hopefully I don't say you should work on your speech, because that's judgment. And I don't want to give people judgment, because there are some people out there that I've seen them, they really do accept the fact they stutter. They'll never work on their speech. And that's okay, because they, I assume, have recognized there is a risk to intervention. If you begin a program of speech therapy, you do a course, you do a video program, you ring someone up, you go and see a therapist, there is that degree of risk that it won't work. It's happened to me many, many years ago. I did an intensive speech therapy course for 1 week. I'm not going to reveal details of where and who and when. I'm not going to do that. But I got some temporary fluency on the course, and then I went back. And after a year, my stuttering was worse. And on top of the stuttering, I had guilt, the fact that I'd failed. So, you know, those people out there that are thinking of working on your speech, I think it's a very big decision. I think you need to take a lot of care making that decision. I think you need to do as much research you can about the approach being offered, about the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people offering scams, costing lots of money, introducing dependency.
Yeah.
Because I've got a whole video in my video program talking about the different models, interdependency, lack of dependency, codependency, and I operate the pay it forward model. The people,
Right.
me, I pre-screen people, and I want them to be their own speech coach from literally not day one and day two. The
Yeah.
people are not prepared to not just put the work in, because it's a journey. You have to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
But I want to, my job is to do myself out of a job. I don't want dependency at all.
Right.
To me, to help them for the rest of their life, no. I want them to help themselves. And it's vital that any therapist program, they totally explain the process by which what they're doing works or what works.
Yeah.
Everyone involved in therapy and they're charging money should be giving money back guaranteed. I don't, for the work that I do at the moment, may change, but I pre-screen people and people don't come and work with me unless I think there can be a result. And a very, very good therapist, and I do this with my hypnotherapy as well, spend time talking to people. If I'm not a match for someone or they're not ready, don't waste your time. Not about money.
Got it.
Your time. Because I know there can be a huge, huge disappointment in trying to begin making a change and then it not working, because you can be left with real legacy, real psychological legacy, and you can get guilt that something hasn't worked. And it might not be your fault, it might not be anyone's fault, it's just the fact there wasn't enough time taken at the beginning to decide, am I right for this person? Is this therapy right for me?
Right.
So take a lot of time, a lot of care before you take any steps and any interventions.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you that actually the decision, like the determination to start working on your speech is a huge step in and of itself. And again, it might seem like I just decide and go for it, but we go through so much internal work before actually going for it. It's like, it took me like, I think maybe 10 years before I went to the speech therapy. And all that time I had that internal work going on inside. So yeah, that's huge. And again, probably the number one thing that comes to mind about it is some people say I started doing some exercise or something with my speaking, and I got so conscious about my speaking, self-conscious about my speaking, so that it made my stuttering worse. So, and you also say that there is no kind of like, cure or something. We will still have something in our speaking. So all this comes together and person thinks like, why would I bother doing anything with my speech? So how do you kind of how would you again advertise this journey?
Yeah, good question. Why would you bother? Simple answer: to enjoy the journey. To enjoy the journey. I have a much better life now than I had before. My stuttering was very bad, and the avoidance was very bad. And I do know there's some people that show struggle, distortion, that don't avoid. Good luck to those people. Well done. It wasn't me. I lived a life. I would say no when someone asked me a question and I knew the answer, but I couldn't say it. I would say no. That's called lying. And I didn't like lying.
Right.
So I decided to take action. But motivation is very, very important.
Yeah.
Motivation has to be the correct way. I mean, psychology, they call it threshold. What that means is you reach the threshold of pain. You can't take any more.
Right.
I have my own particular threshold, which maybe, if I don't know, there's time to talk about, we'll talk about another time. I reached my own particular threshold, and many other people do, but some don't. And
Right.
it is a big journey, but
Right.
if you're not prepared, if you can't, and you should enjoy the journey, and the journey must be made enjoyable to whoever you go to for help, whatever coach. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what program you do, what therapist you do, so long as you give it your all and you believe in what they're doing. And a lot of people get hung up about all the different courses out there, the programs, how much they cost, whether they use free therapy or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. What matters is the mentality that you get at the end of it or during it, where you really do want to work on your speech to be a better speaker and not to focus on overcoming stuttering, because you can't do it. People will say they can, but even the act of saying they can means they can't do it because they're focusing.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, about the threshold, that's a brilliant, again, point, because I noticed, and yeah, that's the reality. Many people live kind of with mild stuttering, never coming to the threshold, and they live through their life maybe like feeling that. And some people come to the threshold and they understand they need to do something about it, and they go for it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so sometimes negative experiences, again, it's easy to avoid negative experiences, not going public speaking, not doing presentation, not challenging yourself for like your dream job, not challenging yourself for like social life, and kind of live through that. But probably, yeah, when we engage in life, we come maybe faster to those thresholds when we challenge ourselves to do stuff in life. Yeah, that's really interesting about the threshold points. Can I ask you one more question about the character? I see in some of your videos, Mr. No Holding Back. How did you come to the idea of the character, and how? Yeah, how?
I haven't got the jacket.
That's very creative idea, and it's really interesting. How did you come to it? Yeah. You were totally transformed into a new person. Yeah.
Right. Transformed. Where have I used that word before? Transformational breath. Transformational breath. The most extreme and beneficial form of change is transformation. So yeah, it's your word. I'm going to take it off now because.
Wow.
Look, it was just me as a psychotherapist just saying, look, if it can help someone, if I can get up dressed like that, if I can deal with people's reactions to how I look, sure, I can deal with people's reactions to how I speak. And that's what it was all about. It was a bit of fun. Some people call it bizarre, but many people have liked it. Some haven't. But I really enjoy doing it. I was doing it with a client a couple of days ago, and they just loved it. They just loved it. They just saw it on its own. No, it's with a whole series of other things that I do. You're not going to do anything with that on its own. It's just the icing on the cake. Right?
Got it.
Fun thing to do. People like it, and fluent speaker acting friends of mine say, "Yeah, come on, let me do it. This is what I do when I'm acting." And I haven't got the red jacket today, but it's just a psychological tool.
Got it.
Fun. Let's have fun. Everything's got to be fun. Why not?
Got it. So maybe one more question. You mentioned several times about your program or your coaching. What do you do actually with people or two people who started? Do you kind of have like a program, a course, or it's a one-on-one work?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Oh, I got it. But you mentioned your psychotherapist, like also education or background, do you do some practice, or it's just for like your personal benefit? Let's call it this way.
I have a practice. I live in Bristol in the UK. I have a practice of clinical hypnotherapy.
Wow.
Clinical hypnotherapist 12 years ago. So I have a very small practice in Bristol, and I practice part-time for 3 days a week. So I see clients. I stick with a very small range of treatments now that I offer.
Right.
Originally, I trained as a hypnotherapist was to do anti-smoking treatment. Sadly, many, many years ago, 20 years ago, I watched a friend of mine die from lung cancer, and he was a heavy cigarette smoker. And then my speech wasn't good enough then to become a hypnotherapist. But I said one day when I've dealt with my speech and I've got the training, I will do the training, because I knew hypnotherapy was effective for smoking, and I will learn how to do it. And I particularly like doing that treatment with people, saving people's lives. And yeah, I mean, that's my practice, my clinical practice.
And
yeah.
as a person who is an expert in that, because I hear, again, some people are offering hypnotherapy for stuttering, what would you say about this? Like some people, actually, that was also one of the options for me first, and I personally didn't like the idea of hypnotherapy. I never tried anything like that. So what would you say? Is this something that can work long-term, or it's only something like, again, it's not quite something that can work long-term?
Wow, that's a good question. That's a very long answer, and I'm still learning the answer to that question. Because I tried, there's been many people who are watching this and may have tried hypnosis or hypnotherapy for stuttering. I did many years ago. It made absolutely no difference. What I know now is just my opinion based on my own experience and some people that I've been working for. So I'm going to give you some generalizations now, which is all. But I am, in a way, experienced, and I am professionally qualified in hypnotherapy and psychotherapy. So that may give me a bit more experience, a bit more validity. So my view, my generalizations are this: hypnotherapy on its own for stuttering with a severe stutterer is not going to do it. It's not strong enough. It's not able to make all those pre-programmings, the reprogrammings of the subconscious mind that you need to do, particularly if the glue that's holding that stuttering in place, which will be very, very psychological, has become hardened over many, many years of negative experience. But it's different. I do accept that there'll be people that go to one hypnosis session and they can reprogram that stuttering speaking pattern. So with me, I think in combination with other things, it's a good idea. But since I discovered transformational breath, that will be the basis for everything I do. And that's where I go. With the sort of service that I offer, it's very tailor-made to the individual. I mean, I found, for example, when I've been working, or people have come to me and asked me, because they know me, to work with them for their stuttering. If they have other, shall we say, challenges, anxiety, or IBS, or even smoking, or anything else that may be locking that SSP in place, it could be a case for dealing with those first. So I'm learning that you have to deal with the whole person, and the may be very secondary. It may be very secondary, and it may not be very primary. And some people say, which comes first? Does the anxiety cause the stuttering, or does the stuttering cause the anxiety? Well, as a psychotherapist, if I'm seeing someone, I have to try my best to figure out which is coming first. Both at the same time.
Yeah.
But everyone's different. It's a tough question to answer, but my view would be, don't deal with stuttering purely by hypnotherapy on its own. Take a more holistic approach. Don't rule out, in fact, fluency shaping, I think, is good if it's done at the right time in the right way with the right person. But the basis for all the work that I do is correct mindset. The no holding back mindset is very important. and to establish non-avoidance and the fact that you've got to do it. I mean, Xi'an discovered non-avoidance. It wasn't anyone else, because he was a stutterer himself, and he went out. Some people call it exposure therapy. Exposure therapy. I mean, that is a well-known piece of therapy used in psychotherapy for hundreds of years. People go out and experience it. You want to cure yourself of heights, we'll go at the top of a big building. You want to cure yourself of a fear of spiders, we'll put a spider in your hand. Now, I'm not recommending that. I don't do that. But, you know, you've got to have the possibility that you will go out into situations, you will push yourself, you will really take on board non-avoidance.
Right.
If someone tries to come and see me and says, oh, I'm quite happy avoiding, I can't say this particular word, or I don't really want you to help me. No, I don't see that. There's no point. If someone doesn't accept the basic principle that non-avoidance is essential,
right,
no-brainer.
And again, how did you start, or maybe how would you recommend to start this journey of not holding back, of stopping that avoidance? Because again, sometimes the first step might seem like a small one, but that first step is huge in terms of creating some traction, some momentum. Then the person starts moving certain direction. So did you like find some books on personal development, or what happened to you, or what would you maybe again recommend to start with in this no holding back journey?
Well, you're right. It's huge. It's huge because there's an element of risk. You have to accept that. Anytime you make any change, there is a degree of risk, and some people are afraid of that risk. That's fine. You know, accept that. How did I do it? Well, what I know now is different to what I know then, by the way. What I would do now would be different to what I did then. So do you want me to tell you what I would do now or what I did then?
Oh, can we go quickly? Both. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd reached threshold of what I could take.
Ah, got it.
Because I was in a really, really, really bad place. I did not have a mild stutter. I really did not have a mild stutter.
Right.
In a really bad place, a threshold. Okay, we'll go forward to that. So I just went out, and in those days, it was almost before the internet, believe it or not. There wasn't always an internet.
Right.
It's a telephone directory. You know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yellow pages.
Yellow
pages. Anyway, I mean, I tried speech therapy many years before, and they meant well, but I mean, the key thing that I've learned recently is immersion. I believe in immersion therapy. I believe in lots and lots and lots of hours, hammering it, immersing yourself in something. So anyway, I went to Yellow Pages, a phone book, and found a speech fluency, a speech recovery course. And I phoned them up and I went on it without really finding much out about it. I was desperate. So I just did the first thing I could find. And it worked for a while, and I got some confidence, but then I slipped back really badly. And on top of the stuttering, I got guilt as well. I was way worse off. My stuttering became worse eventually. So, you know, and then I discovered another course, did well with that, but I was up and down. And then the big key thing with me is 2013, discovering transformational breath. I'd already trained as a clinical hypnotherapist, so I knew eventually I would get the hypnotherapy right. And only when I retired over the last 15 months, I've been developing special scripts for stuttering as a qualified hypnotherapist. So some of the work I do with some clients does involve special language patterns that I've been developing over the last year to help them with the rest of their therapy, if you want to call it that, the rest of the coaching, to remove resistance, remove objection, and to get the WOMS mentality set in their mind. But that's what I've learned over the last 15, 16 months.
Wow. Got it.
And there'll be a book. My book's on the way.
What it will be about?
What it'll be about?
Yeah.
Forward to Fluency.
So it's for people who stutter.
It's actually called Hello Fluency, Goodbye Stuttering. Goodbye. I forget what it's called now. It's called, if you ever write a book, on stuttering, you've got to use the word, because otherwise it won't come up in Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
I don't like the word stuttering. I'd rather say I'm working on my speech to become a better speaker. And I got that expression from my good friend Ruben Pillai. You don't know Ruben Pillai, maybe you do. He taught me that, and I'm always learning from other people. Other people come up with good ideas, I'll use them.
Got it.
Why not?
Got it.
No one has the divine right to all knowledge, and I've used other people's work. People can use my work. My work is open source. WOMS is an open source word. It was Ayo Adesanya invented WOMS. Wasn't me. I didn't invent WOMS. Ayo invented it in a WhatsApp chat. WOMS. Should we call it WOMS? Yeah. Call it WOMS.
Got it.
But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really a really interesting conversation. It feels like it can go for ages, and but I think we should stop somewhere, because again, when we go too far, the idea was to have something that people can take and apply. And we talked about breathing, transformational breathing, and working on our speech. That's a big topic. Again, how we build that that feeling or state, call it whatever, of not holding back, moving through life differently.
Sorry to interrupt you. I will say that not holding back and working on your speech, WOMS, is a way of life.
Right.
And just enjoy it as part of life. Like I wash my face every day. I groom myself. You shave. It's a way of life, and it's enjoyable, because no one will ever carry on doing anything unless they see some benefit and have some enjoyment.
Yeah.
They look for feedback from other people. Some people are other people. What I call OP focused, other people focused. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Most people are to some extent.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing, how to enjoy it when something's not working, when you have some so-called failures on the way. That's the hardest thing, how to still enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, they're learnings, aren't they? But you build up gradually. And reframing. I mean, that's what I use hypnosis for. That's what I use hypnosis for, to do.
Got it.
I just put someone into trance and get them with the right mindset to do that. So when I hypnotize someone, I don't hypnotize them to become fluent speakers or better speakers. I don't use hypnosis for that. It's to back up the other work, to back up, to reinforce the other things.
Got it.
If anxiety is a part of it, I'm skilled at doing that. A good hypnotherapist will normally be able to reduce or get rid of someone's anxiety, depending on how deep it is, in 2 or 3 sessions. It's what we do. It's why we're trained. Yeah.
So again, that's the big message, and to enjoy the journey of working on your speech. That's the thing.
That's right. I've remembered the title, Goodbye Stuttering, Hello Fluency.
Okay. Goodbye Stuttering, Hello Fluency. Okay. Awesome.
Don't forget, where people have redefined stuttering, I've redefined fluency. Fluency is working on your speech.
Got it. Okay, looking for the book. And thank you so much for this conversation, for your ideas. See you. Thank you so much for coming, for joining. Yeah.
Take care. Have a good day.